What is going on, everyone? My name is SiahZ, and welcome back to our updated critical damage lightning Huntress Amazon build. We have made upgrades pretty much to every area of the build, now doing over 5 million damage when bossing, absolutely ripping through pinnacle bosses. We have much better clear than before, and we still have great survivability. Overall, this build has been a blast to play, and the upgrades keep rolling in, and we have yet to even reach the ceiling of what this build can do, so I definitely think we can reach even higher heights. I'm going to be going over all the upgrades and changes we did on the build, but before you get into that, if you guys are liking the guides and you like what I'm doing here on the channel, if you consider hitting a like on the video and a subscribe to the channel, it does help me out immensely, and it really does help with YouTube algorithm as well, and in turn, that currently is the best way to support me. I should also be live right now streaming the build over on YouTube and Twitch. Link for those will be in the description as well as the comment section of the video. All right, let's get right into it. First thing we can get into here is the gear. So for the crossbow, we have made a pretty big upgrade. Like I said, we want to look for very high accuracy rolled rating on it, going for a decent attack speed as well. If you can get semi-decent fizz, like anywhere from 300 to 350, that's going to be more beneficial. And then anything else really on top of that is going to be really helpful, like increased crit damage bonus, plus level to projectile skills, crit chance. I think the ideal bow going in endgame is going to be one with really high rolled accuracy, pretty good rolled plus level to projectiles, and decent fizz. But right now it's currently on the market that's pretty expensive actually to get a decent bow with those rolls, so I think it's much easier to go with like the attack speed and the accuracy rating with decent fizz rather than to go into that. But that's what I'm currently looking for on a bow, and all crossbow base types here work. For the helmet, we have made a change, so instead of running the black insignia, we are now running the Spirit-born crown of the deepest tower. This is an absolute amazing item, and it adds a ton of damage to the build. The unique thing about this is basically enemies in our presence will count as being on low life. So enemies basically in that green circle around us will count as being on low life. Now there's a lot of stuff on the tree we can go into that I'll get to in the tree section that's going to give like 30% increased damage against enemies on low life. A bunch of clusters, damage is lucky with hits against enemies on low life. So we get a lot of damage out of this. Now this is pretty expensive. It's like 4 divs, but it gives so much overall DPS to the build that I do think that is worth going into. For the body armor, we're still running a really high rolled hybrid evasion energy shield. Obviously just looking for reses. If you can roll like life on it would be nice as well, but I try to just get one that has the highest evasion and ES on it, so this way we have a lot more overall survivability added to the build. As for the boots, we are running hybrid now boots, going for evasion energy shield as well, looking for high reses and obviously good move speed. This is going to allow us to be a lot more tankier in the end game. I did find running just full evasion around 70% just wasn't enough. So going into this hybrid and getting around 800 energy shield has allowed me to survive a lot more, and overall it just feels a ton better. Going into the gloves, again, I think if you could roll hybrid would be better here. Just on the market at the current time, there was nothing that was going to give us the amount of DPS and resistances like these evasion-based full gloves were. So I think either evasion or hybrid evasion energy shield here is going to be really good. I would try to look for, again, reses, but like attack speed, high accuracy rating, one of those two stats. If you can get them good rolled, it's going to be beneficial. If you can roll both of them on, obviously that's going to be really good like I have, but either one add overall a good amount of DPS to the build, so that's what I would look for. In terms of the jewelry, we're still running the Beacon of Azys. The reason why this is so like good for us, obviously we get Spirit, which is nice, but we allow our crits to ignore monster enemy elemental resistances. So it's huge for us and allows us to throw on stuff like connectivity or lightning exposure and actually go below the 0 resistances that we'll be ignoring. So, we'll go ignore the resistances, then we start to say connectivity that's 30%, negative lightning res. That'll pen and give them negative lightning res, so allowing us to do a lot more damage to them. So it's really huge for us. It adds a ton of overall DPS to the build. As for the rings we're running, we just want to look for good overall rings with intelligence rolls on both, strength on one of them, so this way we can get that 116 strength without running like into a headache on the tree. Again, reses to be res capped. If you don't need reses rolled on one of your rings, obviously just don't even run reses on your rings. Try to get more damage. But me, I need the reses to be res caps, that's why I wrote them on here. And then honestly, I'm looking for very high accuracy rating, and if I can, like good lightning damage roll, increased lightning damage, high fizz on it, something that's going to overall give us more damage, right? That is going to be more beneficial to the build. Same thing with the other one here. We're running a ruby just because I needed the fire res with intelligence. Then I just was looking for very high accuracy rating, and I found this one to have pretty good physical damage on the market, so that's why I picked it up, just so we can have some damage overall, added to the build to give more on tooltip wise. For the bout, we are running a utility bout, just looking for, again, reses and strength on it, and then anything else is more beneficial, high life, mana, maybe a third res, chaos res, whatever you want to roll on here. but we pretty much only need strength. That's like the only thing that we kind of need just to get to that 116 strength requirement. If you can roll charm slots on here, it's big. Now I did know they just rolled a new patch in that I think has made belts roll with implicit charm slots now, so like it's guaranteed. So obviously I would try to pick yourself up one of those on the market now with strength, and then whatever else you guys need on there. So this way we can run stuff like shock immune charm, stun immune, or stun and freeze immune, something like that. That's going to really overall help the build in a lot of ways, especially in the survivability departments. We are still running Stormcaller arrows, so we still need to have a okay bow. Just look for high fizz if you can, like added lightning. You should be able to get one for 2 to 3x on the market. The quiver doesn't really matter. I'm just running a primed one. I just picked it up off the floor. It had lightning damage. I was like, sure. And then this is enough damage for us, at least, with like 1k tooltip on Stormcaller arrow with our passive tree to basically hit shock on an enemy, like guaranteed, within like 2 bolts to attack. So it's really nice, and that's what we kind of use there. Just the most consistent I found to apply shock using Stormcaller arrow rather than other means. Now we can get into our gem. So shock burst rounds, obviously highest level with quality. If you can get it corrupted with like, you know, more quality or +1 to levels, it's gonna be more beneficial. We're still running martial tempo in here for more attack speed, conk effect, because it is an AoE skill, so we're gonna get 30% more area damage on it, which is insane. Then, since we are running the helmet that now counts enemies on low life in our presence, we can go ahead and run execute. So that's 50% more damage with hits against enemies that are on low life, which is absolutely massive for us. Still running fresh clip in here. I'm pretty sure it's still working as intended, even though it's not updating tooltip DPS. I mean, I could be wrong. If you guys have tested this more and, you know, you've like figured out that it 100% is not applying damage, please let me know. We can swap this out and I can update everybody, obviously, with like mobilitus guy and stuff. We're still running elemental focus. 25% more elemental damage is huge on the skill. Then we get into galvanic, same thing with shock burst, highest level with quality. If you can get a corrupt with +1 is huge. So for here, what I'm doing is I'm just gem swapping the martial tempo out into galvanic while I'm mapping. This feels a lot better with quality of life than running like heft or something else in here. If you do have a very long reload time crossbow, you could run nimble reload in here, but I'm running martial tempo, just swapping it out, and then once I'm bossing, I'll swap it back into shock burst. That's going to give us a lot more attack speed. Gamble shot, so this way every basically projectile we fire will have a chance of either piercing, forking, or chaining. It's just going to be better than fork, because obviously fork is 30% less damage. This is only 15%, so our projectiles on average are going to be doing, you know, 15% more damage. Then we're running obviously primal armament, 25% more weapon elemental damage with close combat in here for 25% more attack damage when enemies are like close to us within 1 meter. Then we're running connectivity in here, again, highest levels we can, but I'm running at level 12 just because that's how much int we have to actually run it. Then we're running quality on here, cursed grounds, this way it'll turn into like an AoE persisting skill. Running heightened curse to have increased magnitude of the negative resistances it will inflict, and then ritualistic curse to have a bigger AoE of the actual skill. The increased delay we don't really care about, there's really no play into it. Ball take mark again, lowest level, since levels don't increase like the chance to shock or the increased effect of the mark or anything like that. It just increases the Nova damage. So we want lowest level with quality, because quality will increase the effect of the marked enemy, which in turn gives us more magnitude of shock. Then we run persistence in here to have more duration of the mark. Then we get into a new skill we're running here is Ripwire Ballista. Again, highest level if you can. This is going to last for 16 seconds. And the reason why this is so good is, one, it'll maimon hit, which is nice. But it'll also, we can throw in like Font of Rage, so this way we can generate rage while we're near it. On average, this is giving us way more damage than emergency reload, because obviously emergency reload only takes effect right for 1 clip. So this is going to take effect for, you know, our first, second, third clip if we have to, whatever. So it's a lot more consistent uptime. Then we're running Ancestral Urgency just so it has increased totem placement speed, so we can get it out quicker, with Font of Mana at the end just so we have more mana regen while we're near it. Then we get into Tame Beast we're running now. Now we are running the Quadrilla. You can farm this in the jungle runes in either Act 3 or Cool Act 3. Just make sure that you look for the Troubled Camp in the jungle runes. There'll be a guaranteed rare spawn of the Quadrilla. And then from there, hit the waypoint. Look what mods he has. If you don't see Haste Aura on it, then you just want to click Escape and then reset a checkpoint, and then it'll reset his modifiers every time. Keep doing that until you see Haste Aura, then go ahead and capture him, because this is going to give us more attack speed, more move speed, which overall is more damage to the build. And we're running Loyalty on it, so this way we'll have 10% of damage like reflected to it, so it'll kind of like share, which is nice for survivability for us. We have Last Gasp, so this way when it dies, it'll still last for an additional 4 seconds. And then we have Meat Shield, so it'll take 35% less damage. Then we have Herald of Thunder, again, max level with quality if you can, going with Enervate, so this will have more lightning damage on killing a shocked enemy. We have lightning penetration on it, so it'll penetrate reses, because we might not be critting with this 100% of the time, so that's why we have it. Then we have lightning infusion, so this way it'll get a lot more lightning damage added to it with the long shot, so this way the bolts that are actually, you know, shooting out off screen to us or away from us on multiple different packs, it'll do a lot more damage and has a better chance of like one-shotting the enemy. Now we're still running Wind Dancer, obviously going in with precision on here, since we'll have increased accuracy rating, and then we have the additional spirit, so might as well throw on like clarity or something like that. Then finally we get into Stormcaller Arrow. So again, if you can, highest level on this, going up to what your decks can obviously suffice, with lasting shocks. This way we have 100% increased shock duration on here. Conduction, have way more chance of shocking the enemy. Overcharge, have way more magnitude of the shock inflicted with lightning exposure, so this way we can get a bigger negative resistance on the enemy whenever we inflict shock with Stormcaller Arrow. And that pretty much sums up and covers the gems that we're running. And now we can get into our skill tree. So for Ascendancy, we're going into Critical Strike because we're accuracy stacking. So 25% of our excess chance to hit with attacks will be added as additional crit chance. So if we go ahead and take a look at like our Galvanic here, we can see we have a 90% chance to hit at that 2-meter range, which is absolutely massive for us and has a lot of DPS. Going into Penetrate still, so this way 25% chance of our accuracy rating on the weapon will be added as physical damage. And that's why I said rolling high accuracy on a weapon is huge, because we are getting so much added fizz that it's better than rolling high fizz on the weapon. So that's why we do that there. Then we're going to be going into Predatory Instincts, so this way we can reveal weaknesses against rare and unique enemies. And then basically the segments that are revealed, those like open weaknesses, will be 50% more damage that we're doing against it. So it adds a really big amount of like burst DPS to the build. And then finally we're going in for the kill, because that 40% increased skill speed will translate over to like attack speed and stuff like that. So overall it adds a ton more DPS to the build. Then going into the tree, we're going to go for Primal Instinct for the increased attack speed and area of effect. Eagle Eye again for the accuracy rating stacking. And then since we're running the Deepest Tower, we can then go and branch off left here going down. And we're going to go into all these nodes here. Basically, this is 30% increased damage with hits against enemies that are on low life. That's what each of these small nodes do, and it's absolutely massive. We're going into Finishing Blows. That's 60% increased damage with hits against enemies that are on low life. And then Stars Aligned is damage with hits is lucky against enemies that are on low life, which is a lot better than actually going into the Lightning Rod thing down here, because it's only 30% chance, where this is just 100% uptime of lucky hits. So it's massive DPS increase here, and this is where we're getting pretty much the 2 million more damage overall to the build. Then we're going to go down and go into Precision Salvo for that projectile, attack speed, accuracy rating, all that's really good for the build. We're taking basically all of Cooked here. It's a lot of critical damage that we're getting, and then obviously the crit chance is also nice there. Gonna go down and still taking Stand and Deliver for that increased crit damage bonus against enemies within 2 meters, as well as the increased damage with hits. Coming down into Weapon Set 2 points, we're going to be taking basically its full cluster of like Frazzled and Rattled for the increased shock duration and magnitude of shocks, and we're going to set this to Weapon Set 2, which is going to be like on our bow for Stormcaller Arrow. This way we can get that like 90% magnitude of shock, right, without sacrificing any points for our crossbow for DPS and stuff like that. Then we're going to come down on the main points, going to like Acceleration for the move speed and skill speed it gives. Finally, we're going to go into Falcon Dive because we are accuracy stacking. So going into this is 1% increased attack speed per 250 accuracy. And since we have like, 7,000 accuracy, something like that, it's a lot of attack speed, which is really nice for the build. Still going into Coming Calamity. This is just free lightning damage while affected by a Herald. Plus the 2 nodes before that is 24% increased damage while affected by a Herald. So a lot of DPS there. Since we are running Tame Beast, we can go into this cluster over here. This is going to be 8% increased damage while in the presence of your companion, and the companion deals 12% increased damage. If we go into Inspiring Ally, that means that the increases and reductions to companion damage will also apply to us. So each of these are 20% increased damage we're doing, which is massive for the build. From there, we're going to go up and go into Heartbreaking, increased crit damage bonus, plus the strength is really nice. Obviously, struck through is 1% more crit chance at the base. And then Heart Stopping is increased crit chance and intelligence. It's really a cluster. We're now coming in and taking all of like Enhanced Reflexes, Beastal Skin, all for that increased evasion rating. Still coming over and taking Nearsighted for that increased accuracy rating at close range. Coming up, and this is where Weapon Set 1 points will go into Wildstorm and have more maximum lightning damage. Since we are rolling with, lucky hits, we want to have more maximum lightning damage rolls, so this way we can roll higher DPS values. We're going into Spectral Ward now, since we have that hybrid body armor that's rolled pretty high. This is a lot of energy shield overall to the build. And then we're going to be going into, obviously there's still like cluster over here, True Strike, crit chance and dex huge. For the Jugular, that increased crit damage and intelligence is huge. And then obviously these nodes over here are like 70% increased damage if we've done a crit recently, which is massive. Plus the increased crit chance on Deadly Force is nice. And then really the only last thing we're doing is Weapon Set 2 points again, coming down and taking stuff like General Electric, Harmonic Generator, more magnitude of shock, more shock duration, stuff like that. And then we're going to be going to Unbound Forces again for more magnitude of shock, more duration on it and all that, to reach that 90% shock magnitude and stuff like that, to get a lot more DPS overall to the build. For the jewels that we're running, we're just running emerald jewels, looking for like crit damage bonus, increased damage with hits against rare unique enemies, or you can also do like crit damage bonus, attack speed, increased damage with rares or something like that on your emerald jewels. That's going to be probably the best we can currently get right now. That pretty much sums up all the changes we did to the build. Overall, like I said, we're doing over 5 million DPS now on pinnacle bossing. The clear has never been better, survivability is still great, and overall the build is gotten a lot better, and we still haven't really reached the full like pinnacle what we can do with it yet. So I'm going to try to keep pushing it further, and hopefully we can get up to around that 10 mil DPS. I hope you guys did enjoy the video though. Like always, if you did and you are liking what I'm doing on the channel, if you consider hitting a like on the video and a subscribe to the channel, that currently is the best way to support me, and it also really does help with the YouTube algorithm. I should also be live right now streaming on YouTube and Twitch. The link for that will be in the description as well as the comment section of the video. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night depending on when you're watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.